Hello, welcome back. It is your Loan Depot Ignite girls, and we are back with another edition of our Coffee Talk. I'm Lisa Gustafson.
I'm Shelley Borman.
I'm Erica Benigni.
Each time we do a coffee talk, we try to bring you something of value, something that is current and timely and will help you as you navigate these rough waters with your clients. So the question we're hearing a lot from our clients, and I'm sure you're hearing a lot from yours, and it's on the news, it's everywhere, right? Should I buy a house now or should I wait? Should I try to get in there before things go up farther, or should I wait and see what happens in the future? And so there's a lot that goes into that, and we'll go through some of the conversations you'll want to have with your buyers. But one thing to think about is you have to have some sort of housing. Most people, right, some sort of roof over their head. So yes, the cost of housing has gone up, interest rates have gone up, but rents have also gone up. And so this chart here we thought was really interesting because it shows you not only what rents have done since 2005, but most especially what they've done in the last 2 years. And you can see that dramatic increase. And really, as the cost of housing continues to go up, as the supplies that go into building a house go up, eventually that will lead to higher rent as well. So it's just always something to consider that you have to have some sort of housing. And so as home ownership goes up, we also have to look at what rents are doing as well. The cost of sorry.
So whether or not you're deciding on renting or buying, we have a few steps to follow to help in evaluating. And the first thing that we encourage clients is to do a financial checkup. And part of the financial checkup is, of course, reviewing your credit. And we encourage that you do this with a mortgage consultant, even if you may not be in a position that you'd be buying right away. It's still a good step. Most mortgage consultants don't charge for that meeting. You can have your credit reviewed and go through credit to see first if your scores are in a range that you could qualify for a loan program, or second, if repairs need to be made or debts need to be paid off before you could buy. But your credit also impacts a rental application. So it's just a good starting point. The second thing that we would encourage is creating a budget. And it is amazing the number of people that actually don't have a budget, don't follow a budget. So I think it's just essential in reviewing whether or not you're financially ready to buy a home. And what you want to do is actually look at your net income to your spending, not your gross income. You want to look at your take home and then how you're spending that. And a general rule of thumb is that 50% of your income should be allocated towards your necessities, towards your needs. So that would be housing, utilities, gas. Let's see, what else? Food. You might need that. Yeah. 30% would be towards wants. So that could be entertainment, clothing, eating out. And then 20% should be allocated towards savings. And people tend to forget that, but you want to make sure within that budget that you are able to save. And if you're in a situation where you're renting and your rent is a lower payment than owning, then you should have a greater ability to save more and to pay off debts more aggressively. And then the last thing would be assessing where you are in your life. Are you in a neighborhood, in an area that you think you may stay long term? Do you think you might be moving in the next few years? Is your employment stable? Or is it possible that employment could require you to relocate? Because there are costs involved in renting and owning. But with owning, there may require a little bit more time to recover those costs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. So let's take a look and see the timing involved of everything. If you are going to be in the area, if you're anticipating keeping the same job or at least staying within the same geographic area for the next 3 to 5 years, then it definitely makes sense to look at buying a home versus renting. So if we can pull that chart up, what I've done is I've put together kind of like a rent versus own that I want to show you. And this is showing up a little bit small, but basically what I've done is the first column is assuming a monthly rent of about $2,200 per month. And over the next 3 years, what I'm assuming is that rent is going to increase by 3% per year, which is kind of, we've seen rates, we've seen rents go higher recently than that. But so hopefully 3% is a fairly conservative number. Next to it, what we're going to assume is buying a $420,000 home and putting 3% down with a conventional loan. So basically what that's showing you, the monthly payment when you do that is going to be higher than the rent. That estimated monthly payment, if you can see that there, is about $2,781.34. So the monthly payment to purchase is higher than the rental in this case. Plus, you need to bring about 18,400 to the closing table, and that includes your down payment on this home plus your estimated closing costs and prepaids. So it is definitely a factor to bring into consideration. But let's look at this. So this is rent. This chart is rent versus principal paid in 36 months. And I want to demonstrate which option is better in this scenario over 3 years. So over the 3 years, what we're looking at is in the next 36 months, if you rent $2,200 a month going up 3% per year, the total client's output is $81,600. Buying a home in mortgage payments over that same time period, it's going to be $100,128. So the difference there is about $18,528. That's the difference. Plus, we know that there's another $18,400 that was the initial output. Okay, so all in, the buyer has over $36,000 into the deal at the end of 3 years. But in 3 years, let's say they go to sell the home. Instead of being worth $420,000, this home is now worth almost $480,000. So let's say they put it on the market for $480,000. With the sale, assuming 7% costs, so 6% commission and another 1% in costs, that's about $33,600. So taking that off the $480,000 purchase price, that is gross proceeds after that of about $446,400. The loan amount at the end of that time, because of that $100,000 that they've put in, they have paid some principal down on the loan balance. So the loan amount is now down to $389,990. So if you subtract that $389,990 from the $446,400, that is net proceeds after paying off the mortgage of over $56,000. It's actually $56,410, which is a 50% return on your $38,000 investment that you initially went into it with 3 years ago. That's a pretty good investment.
Yeah. What appreciation rate did you assume?
Great question. So I was assuming 4.5% appreciation per year.
Okay, last
year alone, we saw about 18%.
Yeah.
So that's probably a conservative number.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what's important to point out is, in most cases, if clients can qualify, it's going to make sense for them to buy a home. But in all cases, we really need to have an honest conversation with our clients to help them make the best decision for them.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the other side of that is there is a very emotional or intangible part of buying a home, especially in America. There is a very big pride in home ownership. The American dream generally involves owning a home, which I think is very important. You add stability to your, if you have children in schools, all of those things. You get appreciation, like you showed, tax advantages. We haven't even talked about the tax advantages that can come with home ownership. One of the big things is lifestyle, right? Like, what do almost everybody have, especially in Colorado? Dogs.
A dog.
It's pretty hard to have a dog in a rental, and you know, if you want to have 2 or 3 dogs or, you know, what have you. So lifestyle is really important. But you do lose some flexibility, right? You can't move as often. You know, there's maintenance costs. So pros and cons to both, right? Every person is going to be different. I think just educating a potential home buyer on what home ownership looks like, you know, the costs that go from year to year, you know, if you needed to sell, this is what it would cost, all of those things, just to help them really make an informed decision. And maybe, if, you know, maybe some people will say, you know what, I need to wait a year to see if this or this and this in my life plays out, or, you know,
Right.
get the promotion, do I not, do we have the
Right.
job? You know, all of those things. So everybody's different, but
And I would encourage people that are in that position, if you decide to step back and rent for a few months, then really focus on getting in a better position, saving, putting more money down, getting rid of all debt. So the only obligation that you have is the mortgage. All of that is going to help you to be in a better position when you are ready to buy.
Right. And I think these questions, you know, they may seem intrusive to have this conversation with our clients, but really this is our job. And our job is to build a relationship as loan officers and real estate agents to know our clients and to really help them, you know, manage their way through these really big decisions. So,
Right.
yeah. A couple other things we found online that you might guide your clients to. NerdWallet has a great rent versus buy kind of calculator, but it goes into maintenance costs and a lot of the other things that you really don't necessarily put a number to when you're looking at normal rent versus buy comparisons. So that's a great tool. And then if you have clients, Chaffa has a home buyer education course. We have several. Mortgage insurance companies have them. So we can always guide your clients to these home buyer education courses that can kind of help them walk through the budgeting part and a lot of the stuff, just to give them a really solid foundation before they really dive into buying. So, Yep.
And one thing I forgot to mention with the budget is there are so many resources that are provided through your bank accounts online, credit cards. A lot of them will automatically break out your spending for you. So
and they'll be really honest about your spending, right?
Right.
I think sometimes when we're looking at our budget, we're like, oh, we did that last month, but that we don't do that every month.
Right.
You probably actually had the numbers. You probably do spend that every month.
Yes.
So having it automatically download from your credit card or your bank would be a really honest.
Yes. So very, very useful tools that are out there to help guide you.
Yep. All right. So awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. And again, if you have any input, we'd love to hear it. If you have ideas for topics or things you'd like to have us share, we'd love to know that as well. But if not, until then, thanks so much for sharing with us, and cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.